He quickly became really an American success story. You know, he went from in-gate into show manager. And I think when you think of David, the words that come to mind are honesty, integrity.
How can you not love a horse? They're magnificent. We ask them to do things that they're not built to do. They're just tremendous to watch. They're exciting. They're just things of beauty, and they're wonderful, wonderful animals. I loved riding, and I missed it. I still miss it occasionally. I haven't been on a horse maybe 3 times in the last 40 years, but my older sister started riding at a little place in Andover, Massachusetts, and I used to go tag along. I was about 6 years old, and my parents wouldn't let me have lessons, but the people in the barn used to throw me on a horse and give me rides around. And we moved to New York when I was 9, and my parents finally let me ride, and we went to a place called Kenilworth Riding Club in Rye, New York, and I learned dressage. We used to go on trail rides, and I found it was more fun to jump fallen trees and other stuff than do dressage. So we moved to Boulderbrook Riding Club in Scarsdale, New York, and Al Homewood was the instructor. And I was there till I was 17, and I went to ride with Ronnie Much. I did equitation, junior jumpers, junior hunters. When I got out of my juniors, I wanted to be a professional, and I realized soon into it that I was not going to be good enough to be good. I would have been okay, but I just don't like doing things okay. So I ventured into the management end. I got talked into doing in-gates in Florida, Lake Placid, and it shows in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, whatever, and it just kept on growing and growing and growing.
First, he was hired as technical coordinator at some shows, and then David became manager at some of the biggest horse shows in the country, you know, Winter Equestrian Festival, National Horse Show, Talent Search, Festival of Champions, U.S. Olympic Selection Trials, and the shows he does now, Devon and Washington, and really reached the very top.
Honey Craven was the one who first asked me to come on board to Devon, and Honey was phenomenal. He was an amazing individual. Gene Mish brought me in as his coordinator, and I learned a lot from Gene. Dr. Rost, I learned so much from Dr. Rost, and not only as a manager, but as a judge. Dr. Rost was a phenomenal person.
It was a few years back, the 50th anniversary of the Washington International Horse Show was coming up. And they needed a management team. They gave me a call. I said only if I could do it with David. I twisted his arm, he said yes, and it was amazing not to just be a colleague of his, but to see what he really could do behind the scenes. In probably the toughest venue in the world, with the stable area out on the streets of Washington, D.C., just a few blocks from the White House.
A David Distler managed horse show usually runs along kind of smooth. And if it's not, he doesn't let you know it anyhow, because he just goes right along. He's a pretty good manager.
I got my steward's license first, and then I got my jumper judge's license. That was followed eventually by my FEI license, judge's license. And then they created FEI stewards, and I was there for that.
David, as a judge, he's a very thorough thinker, and he's taught me to be that way for the most part.
He got into judging, became a judge and a steward, and also did the biggest horse shows in this country and international shows like Dublin and Spruce Meadows, and the 3 big championships, World Equestrian Games, World Cup Finals, and the Olympic Games. And he came to be regarded as the #1 authority on show jumping rules in the world. And that was evidenced by his being FEI Steward General.
David is, in his management, much the same person that he is judging. He sees the whole picture.
I always wanted to be on the jumper committee, And when I finally got on, I just got into the rules. When I teach the judges' clinics, I always say, and I tell people this often, it's important to know the rules, but it's more important to understand the rules. Because if you don't understand why a rule is there, you usually can't apply it correctly. Anybody can read a rule book, memorize a rule book. That doesn't make you a good judge. It just means you have good memory.
David's contribution to the sport comes from all aspects of the sport. Obviously, the rules continually evolve as the sport evolves. And he's been on every rules committee there is. He's written half the rules, which is why he knows them by heart. He's been and experienced as a judge some of the most bizarre incidents that come up. In our sport, of course, it basically judges itself until it doesn't. And that's when you need somebody like David.
I'm a level 4 FEI judge, which is right now I'm the only one in North America. And but when I got promoted, the FEI asked me what I'd like to do, and I told them I've always wanted to go to Dublin. I did get to go as foreign judge. If you've never gone to Dublin, you've got to go to Dublin. It's something so special. And on Aga Khan Day, which is their Nations Cup Day, you dress up in your top hat and your tails. It's just a really, really great honor.
He always wants to do the right thing and do what is right by other people.
I've done 2 Olympics, 2 World Games, 6 or 7 World Cup finals, and I enjoy them because I don't get nervous. I go in there knowing what the rules are. I make sure everybody else knows we all agree on what the rules are, and we have a good time. I used to try to write comedy. I moved to California for 9 months and wrote television, wrote some TV shows. And there was a radio show in New York called The Bob and Ray Show. It was on for decades. And it was just 2 guys. It was syndicated and it was very popular. I wrote some scripts for them and sent them to them. And they did their own stuff, so they sent it back with a nice note thanking me, but no thank you. So I had them one day with me in Florida, it was around 1975 or so. And Peter Doubleday had just started announcing the circuit. And I thought it'd be fun if I took those scripts and transformed them from what I had written for Bob and Ray into the horse show world. And that was the start of the Peter and David show. And we did the Peter and David show every morning, usually about 7 o'clock, for about 20 minutes. And people enjoyed it.
It really became a very big thing that if you were at a horse show where they were there and they were doing it, you didn't want to miss it.
It didn't matter where we were at Lake Placid in our campers. The first thing we heard in the morning was the Peter and David show, and the whole horse show grounds started off on the right foot with a smile on their faces because of what they brought to the horse show before the first horse even got into the ring.
Whenever Peter and I were together, Lake Placid, Devon, didn't matter where, we always had something. Because I enjoyed writing, so I always had fun writing scripts and comedy. So I'm a very funny person. Most people don't know that about me. We did it for 10 or 12 years. But people still talk about it. I still have a bumper sticker at home. I'd like to thank my wife for being so understanding, for allowing me to travel as much as I do and to be a part of all the committees and the board of the USHJA. She's a wonderful person. She must love me to let me do this.
When I heard that David is about to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, it occurred to me that that's what this award is all about. I cannot think of anybody that has brought more to the sport from more different facets than David. What he has done for the sport and what he will continue to do to the sport is what the Lifetime Achievement Award is all about.
I think it's so great that he is being honored with this award for his contributions to the sport, but to me, it's also his qualities as a person and how he has lived his life is a major reason why he's being honored.
I think he is very deserving of it. That man devotes a lot of time I think he's someone who is very deserving of that type of award.
The Lifetime Achievement, it really kind of makes you reflect on what you've done, because it means you've been around for a while. Well, good, bad, or indifferent. I've been around for a while, and it does make you reflect on your life a little bit. Think about, have I had an impact? I don't know if I've had an impact in the sport or not. I hope I have. I hope when I'm gone, which I hope is a long time from now, they'll look back and say, he did some good things.
In anything, what you pass along to the next generation and the generation that's doing it now is so important, whether you're a rider or in David's position as an athlete and as a steward. What he passed on and mentored to those officials that are so vital to the sport right now, that's David, and that's what he's always lived for.